We're now here with you back again, and we are talking about textile and fashion with all of its aspects. And we shall now talk about cotton. We will talk about the sustainability of cotton and discussions around it. And uh, our guest now is Nezihi Aslankeser, and I would like to now give the word to him from Cotton Council International, the MER representative. Greetings to you all. First of all, because of the pandemic, I would like to wish everyone a better and healthier life. The 13th Fashion Conference, I believe, I hope, will be beneficial for all parties related. You can always access the presentations from our website, both in English and Turkish, from Cotton Council International website, Cotton USA, as it's known in trade. We are a long-time participant into Istanbul Fashion Conference, and we have done it before. He has our previous officer has resigned and I have taken over. I would like to thank him for all of his services so far. As much as I'm a new profile for many of you, I'd like to introduce you uh, myself. I met with cotton at a very early age. Since it's our family business, I'm the third generation keeping up with the tradition of cotton business. I would like to start with a little bit of an information about Cotton Council International. It's one of the four major cotton NGOs, and it is the promotional branch of American Cotton, and it is promoting activities for getting a bigger share in the cotton market. If we look at the view, 2020 was very difficult for us. The impact on the prices and the COVID-19 stopped most of the global economy, both in American and both on global cotton industry will be immensely impacted, it looks like. When we look at the industry, there's a 14% of constriction in 2020 with less field to plant. And with the pandemic era in March, the prevented the farmers from going to the field efficiently. And the West Texas crop events have been very important. As I have mentioned before, compared to a year, we had the drought conditions in Texas, and there will be lots of unharvested areas, and the restriction is 2% in Texas. When we look at the American cotton balance sheet, there is 17.2 bales of production, 2.1 consumption, and 7.2 million bales of closing balance. That will be the average annual situation. These are the numbers from the American Ministry of Agriculture's recent numbers. 14.6 bales is below 14.6 billion bales is below last year's numbers, but it is on a similar level. In the last years, Vietnam is the first, exceeding China. Vietnam, China, Pakistan, and Turkey is the fourth now. So Turkish market is very, very precious for us. The sanctions to China and other policies and measures caused the Chinese investors to invest in Vietnam. So the capacity utilization ratio increased in Vietnam. So when we look at the scale of China, it's huge, but the cost has brought Vietnam to forefront. And when we look at the retail demand in March and April, there had been dramatic falls and decreases. Closing down of the stores and the lockdowns created an 86% drop in this year's retail consumption. So in the recent era in July and August, there is a V-shaped recovery, a soft recovery. When we look at the global numbers, the global cotton demand is recovering, but nowhere near pre-COVID levels. In 2020, we expect a recovery, but the American assumption is from 116 billion bales to 114 billion bales, and in gross national product is close to net uh, national domestic product. You can see the correlation is really close. In 2008 and 2012, it took a long time to recover, but in 2020, COVID global restriction has had a better and easier recovery, which increased the cotton production. When we look at fiber consumption, of course, the synthetics, 60 billion tons and 25 tons of billion tons of cotton. We can all realize the reason for the cheaper prices. It's due to the fall in the oil prices. When we look at the global cotton production, there is less crop in US, but in 2020, global cotton production was pretty similar to pre-COVID era. In the last 2 years, more cotton is being produced. When we look at the balance sheet, in 2020, 117 billion bales of production, 112 billion bales of consumption is expected to be, with 103 billion bales of stock. China has 36 billion bales of cotton, whereas the world has 67.3 billion global bales globally. The importance of this is going to be followed with my explanation. The stock in increase in China is very spectacular. Brazil is subject to free trade, so they can actually actively participate in free trade. In India, there is a policy to support the lowest price, so they cannot be included in the free trade easily. Let's look at the options and futures for the cotton prices in US. It is in the highest places because there is speculators, cheap liquidity, and the third reason is the recent tropical storms affecting the American continent and the expectations towards that creates a price pressure towards a high upward price pressure, so that liquidity is affected with the prices, and the balance sheet expansion is affecting the cotton prices as well, because the cotton prices are going upwards due to the liquidity, ample liquidity. And what we talk here is, I have a slide which is called the commitment of the traders, and this is the numbers. When we look at that graph, from the start of pandemic, the speculators had a major move and they pulled it down to 49 cents. And then with the money being pumped into the market, this ample liquidity was used by the speculators towards the commodities. And since cotton is traded in futures markets, it was very open to speculations. So usually people ask, what is the problem? Is it because of the harvest and the crops? No. People should think of the monetary problems instead of the decrease in land use or the production. As American cotton industry, we started a new sustainability program. As of 15th of September, US Cotton Trust Protocol is effective. This protocol calls for the effective use of land and less resource utilization, and it's based on data, and it is traceable. It is important. The EU is pressuring the previous commissioner of EU said we started with plastic, but we need to change, he said, and textile is going to follow this. During the COVID era, the consumers have been more sensitive about sustainability. They're more conscious as well. Green product, green production, and sustainability is also very important. They're more conscious, more awareness is important. And in the global cotton production, there are alternative sustainability programs, organic cotton, BCI, and recyclable cotton. And for some retailers, this is not enough. And we need verifiable and traceable data in US. In 1985, in AT, we had a 35-year-long program for using effective irrigation and less energy consumption to help mitigate the consumption. In 2015, we had another 10-year goal to increase those goals, and a sixth segment was to increase the carbon ratio in the soil. This protocol was an important resource to reach these. From the field to market program used the data center, and all the chemicals, water, energy input was being used, and on the federal state, on the global state, and also on a state level, they followed this. Since I'm short of time, I'm trying to go faster. And this protocol was parallel to the many sustainability goals of many NGOs, including the UN Sustainability Goals outcomes. As I said, this protocol is actually similar to many of the like, and we're definitely not a competitor, but we believed that we needed to have an individual one for specifically American cotton, and the party was a observant independent party. We have agreed with Controni company, which will monitor all our processes. We expect you to be a member because we need a sustainable world. I also have a good piece of news. We won't ask for any subscription fees. That is a good news for brands and companies. You can go to our website or to your regional representative. So I would like to thank you for giving me the time and the space. I would like to also thank to the family of Turkish Ready-Made Apparel Association, to all the presenters and everybody who took part in this organization and who made this possible. I have one short. When we look at sustainability in terms of the cotton market with the monetary expansion and monetary easing, there was ample liquidity. So when we look at the near term, if we look at this year, and if you talked about the next year, what would you say? This is one of the good questions.
So at this point, I can't tell anything that sharp or like that straightforward, but ample liquidity and monetary policies will make this upward pressure remain for some time. And when you look at the bearish and the bullish tendencies, we may suggest that we might see a second wave of these lockdowns. Of course, this will cheer up the speculators, and this might create upward or some downward pressures. And forecasting the production is even harder than projecting the future of pandemic, but we have to keep up and stay focused, and that's all I have to say for now. Well, thank you so much. It was so insightful, and when it comes to sustainability, of course, there are many different areas to follow, and Nezihe Aslankeser, EMER representative of Cotton Council International, was with us. We will continue this great conference, but now we will have a 5-minute break.